Okay, well, we're picking it up again from where we left off last night. I went ahead after, putting these together like we'd already done. I went around it again with the drum sander all the way around the edges to tighten things up a bit. And then I went back over and edge beveled all the way around to clean up the edges here. And then on the back side, starting right here at this stitch line, I edge beveled all the way around and stopped somewhere in this arena, and then I started again over here and edge beveled on the back, stopping at this stitch line. I didn't go all the way around because this is going to be folded over, so it wasn't required that this be beveled around this circumference. So that's what I had just completed. I did want to make a quick note. This is the drum sander I'm using mounted in my drill press. You can pick these up almost anywhere, but I never did show that, and I won't be showing the drum sanding because it's tucked away in a corner and I really can't get the camera in there, but you can figure that on your own. So I believe the next thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go ahead and fold it around, and I'm going to stitch from here to here on both sides. Now I do need to mark out a groove from here to here, so I'll fold it across and make reference marks with them sandwiched together to figure out where I need to put that groove to start and stop. I'll stitch it in the same process. I'll start at one side or the other, it doesn't really matter. Let's say I start here. I'm actually going to start my stitch inside this hole right here, and I'll stitch all the way around. And I have the option here to either back stitch 3 stitches or continue on into these 3 stitches. So if I start here where this is already back stitched, I think I'm going to do that because I don't want to try to put 3 more stitches through a hole that's already been back stitched. So I'll start in this hole, and then over here, this is where we started our original stitch. I'll probably just run 3 straight through here. I'm not going to show the stitching process for that. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible, even though it's going to be a really long series. There's a lot of steps here, so we're going to move forward. I'm going to do this, I'll show the end results, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, well, here's the holster stitched together from here to here. I'd mentioned I was going to stitch past these on the end. Well, I couldn't do that obviously because we've got a hole right here, so I did back stitch. I started here, went down here, and then back stitched 3 threads and terminated it there. The next thing I did was to take it back to the drum sander and sand this edge flush again, and touched up any other spots that I thought needed a little bit of work. So these are nice and straight. This is, I guess, 3 plies now. And after that, I burnished the edges with water only. I just wet them down with water and then used a dowel in my drill press that I've used some round files and filed a couple of grooves in there to run this around. And there's another gentleman on YouTube who's got a nice series on making holsters. I mean, it's really top-notch stuff he's doing, and that's what he was using, so I kind of took that and tried it, and it actually worked quite well. There were certain areas, obviously, like down in here where I couldn't quite get all the way to it, or maybe a little bit on the inside edge. So I did those by hand with this tool. Just came in here and rubbed them vigorously and kind of burnished those. So that's all I've done since stitching this together. I do want to mention that this was not just lapped over and stitched. This is contact cemented together right here and here. I just marked just to the inside of my stitch line around, and then marked where I was going to stop. Glued both surfaces, let them tack up, and then put them together in between 2 pieces of wood in the vise to let them hold for about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And once I got them out, they didn't separate or anything. It is looking pretty good. I am running into a problem. I'd mentioned that on my mock-up with that inexpensive leather that I made it too small, so I made this one larger, and it's acting like it is going to be too small, and it's kind of a bummer. But one note where I know I did make a mistake is I put a couple too many stitches right here into this area. So in essence what I did, let me grab my weapon and I assure you it's still unloaded. This may not pick up well, but I'm just going to try to hold it to where it might be. Sorry about that. It's hard to do with one hand. You can see that I've got stitches that are actually going just past the trigger guard, so I'm hanging up right there. There's not really anything I can do about it right now. I think what I'm going to try to do is soak the leather and then oil the gun down real good and try to gain a little bit out of it and see if I can make this thing go in there. But I may have to build this over again. Like I said, you know, I'm building it on the fly, and I feel pretty lucky I didn't run into any big problems up until now. But now I'm so far in it, you know, if I have to start over, that, like I said, might be a bummer. So I'm going to figure out, you know, how I'm going to remedy this, and, you know, if I can figure it out, then maybe that'll give some information if somebody else runs into the same problem. Okay, I wanted to do a quick clip here on my crisis aversion. I actually did, you know, I was stating that I could not get my weapon in here, and I was kind of freaking out about that because I'd spent a lot of time, you know, and labor working on this, and I was able to figure out the exact problem and take care of it. And I should have done this a little bit differently to begin with, and I'll explain that. But to let you know what I had done, this particular V here, hopefully you can see it, was actually stitched down to right here, as well as on the muzzle end it was stitched to right here, and I could not get the weapon in. So what I ended up doing was I actually took this whole stitch line out from here to here, and then since I had this glued, I came in with an X-Acto knife and just separated this. And what I needed to do to give myself more room, but because I had these holes pierced in here, I just went in and put some stitches just to fill the holes here, the little area here, a few down here at the muzzle end, as well as maybe a couple right here. And then once I got those in there, I applied a little bit more contact cement to put this back in place and let it set up, and then I came back in and stitched this back. So I did get around the problem. What I should have done, which I didn't do, which, you know, I should have known better, I never folded this around the weapon. That's how I should have marked my stitch lines in here, where I was going to start and stop. I should have put my weapon in and curled this around and said, okay, well, I need to start here and I need to finish here. But I didn't do that, so I kind of backed up and got it taken care of. So I'm back on track, and as you can see now, I can put the weapon in here, and my muzzle is just shy of the end like I wanted. It is snug, you know, I've not wet formed this or done anything to it, but now, you know, you can see I can get in here and thumb press, and I can extract the weapon and then put it back in. So it is working, and that's what I was shooting for.